Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here today to finish an incredible journey through some really timeless wisdom.
That's right. The golden verses.
Exactly. For the past two deep dives, we've been immersing ourselves in Pythagoras' golden verses, and, well, we've been using Lúcia Helena Galvão's commentary from New Acropolis, Brazil. Really profound stuff.
Absolutely.
So today, we're tackling the final section, verses 52 right through to 72. And our mission, like always, is to pull out those potent nuggets of knowledge. You know, especially the ones that maybe seem a bit counterintuitive at first.
Like the idea we touched on before.
Which ones specifically? Though there have been a few surprising ones.
Well, the idea that acting from principle isn't some cold, detached thing.
Ah, yes. That's a perfect example for this final section, because it's not cold at all, is it?
Quite the opposite. It's about evoking feelings, but from the top down, from your mental understanding, your principles, and that cascades, creates positive energy motivation.
It reminds me of Seneca the Stoic. Someone accused him of being cold, unemotional.
Oh, I know this one. And he replied.
He said, "Quite the contrary. I only have feelings. What you have is something else."
Exactly. Such a great line. It highlights how those higher thoughts, those principles, they actually pull up the best kind of feelings.
Yeah.
They affect everything: mind, emotions, energy.
And actions, right. So actions rooted in principle are actually fueled by the noblest sentiments.
Yeah.
Because the thought elevates the feeling.
Precisely. It's a high thought, and almost instantaneously you feel the right motivation. It's like inner alchemy, really.
Okay, brilliant.
Right.
So with that framework, let's jump into verse 52. Pythagoras says, "You will see how far the diversity among beings reaches, and you will see what contains them and keeps them together." It's quite a paradox he's setting up. Are we all different, or are we all one? Which is it?
Well, Pythagoras suggests it's both. And that's key. See, traditionally, philosophy often put humanity over here.
Yeah.
Self-conscious, separate from the animal, vegetable, mineral kingdoms.
Probably a distinct category.
But what's fascinating is the internal variety within humans. Psychologically, you go from the, let's say, most ignorant to the wisest sage. It's a huge spectrum. Compare that to the external variety in, say, the animal kingdom, insect to whale. Huge outward difference.
Okay, so humans are maybe outwardly quite similar, but inwardly incredibly diverse. Is that the idea?
That's a big part of it. And Pythagoras' point is, look, if you want to actually help humanity, you need to grasp both things, this massive internal psychological variety and the identical divine essence that deep down unites everyone.
The essence is the same, but how we express it, or how conscious we are of it, varies wildly.
Exactly. Consciousness is the key, the touchstone. It's like having, $1 million in your pocket but not knowing it's there. It doesn't help you until you're aware of it. Same with that divine spark. Useless if you don't know it.
This really challenges that Western either thinking, doesn't it? That Manichaean view things are either good or bad, separate or united. We struggle with both hand.
We really do. And Pythagoras is pushing us towards that both hand. We are all different, and we have to deal with those differences. But at the same time, fundamentally, we are the same.
Like that poster example you mentioned once.
Oh, yeah, the heart poster. It was brilliant.
Oh.
Just images of a human heart, the organ, repeated. But underneath each one, different labels. White, black, oriental, Jewish, Arab.
Wow.
But it was the same heart, showing that beneath all the surface stuff we focus on, the core is identical.
That powerfully makes the point about unity. But how do we practically balance that, acknowledging the deep unity while still respecting the very real individual differences we encounter every day?
It's a constant balancing act. You have to see the differences, respect them, work with the person in front of you, but always remember that in essence, we're incredibly similar, like cells of a single unit.
Okay.
And that leads perfectly into verse 53. You will see then, according to justice, that the substance of the universe is the same in all things. Unity again.
Right, the Sutratma, the thread self. That analogy from Indian Vedanta about the pearl necklace is so good here. Could you walk us through it again?
Sure. So imagine a person's evolution like a pearl on a necklace. Stage 1. The pearl looks outward, thinks it's, made of acrylic or something. It competes. I'm shinier, rounder. You have the game.
Ego-driven comparison.
Exactly. But that gets old. So stage 2. The pearl decides to look inward, wants to know itself. It expects to find more acrylic, but what does it find? A hole with a thread running through it, a silver thread.
So not empty, but something else entirely.
Right. At first it might just seem like an empty hole, a void. Takes work. sharpening the vision, learning to recognize spirit, but eventually it sees the silver thread within itself. That's finding your own essence.
Yeah.
The pearl feels pretty good about this, maybe even a bit smug.
Huh. Okay, found my inner silver thread, but that's not the final step.
No way. The real breakthrough, stage 3, is when the pearl realizes, wait a minute, this silver thread running through me, it's continuous. It connects all the other pearls.
Ah, it's one single thread, the sutratma.
That's it. When you find the divine in you, you've actually found an aspect of the divine that runs through everything and everyone. And that changes everything. No more separation, no more selfishness, no more competition. Why would you harm another pearl if it's connected to the same thread as you? It's like harming yourself.
So this divine spark isn't just mine, it's the spark running through us all. Unity is the end game of wisdom.
Absolutely. But there's a really important warning here. This whole process is a preparation for seeing.
Meaning
You can't just jump to stage 3. If you suddenly saw that unity, really saw it, without having done the work to shed your egoism, your sense of separateness, it could be traumatic, like plugging a tiny light bulb into a massive power source.
it would just blow out.
Right. Wisdom involves purifying yourself so that when you do see the unity, it doesn't shatter you. It confirms what you've already started to feel and understand.
That makes sense. Which brings us neatly to verse 54. Thus you will not desire what you should not desire, and nothing of this world will be unknown to you.
Okay, so this isn't stop desiring things. It's about purifying desire. How does that actually work?
Exactly. It's purification, not elimination. Think of it like this. Most of humanity, maybe most of the time, operates on what you could call a horizontal line,
Okay.
motivated by fear and desire, pain and pleasure. Basic animal nature, really. How do you get a dog off the comfy chair?
Offer it a treat or maybe show at the door.
Right. Carrot or stick. That's the horizontal line. Fear of getting fired, desire for the paycheck. That's what gets most people moving.
The standard motivation.
Yeah. But then there's the vertical line. This is the truly human motivation. Duty. Acting because it's the right thing to do according to your highest understanding, your principles.
And someone operating on that vertical line is pretty much unmanipulable. You can't bribe them, you can't threaten them effectively. Their satisfaction comes from aligning with their own highest nature, their integrity. What external reward or punishment competes with that?
So for the philosopher, the person on this path, desire doesn't vanish. It just changes flavor. It gets refined.
Beautifully put. It's a purified taste.
Yeah.
You stop desiring, fleeting physical pleasures as the main goal and start desiring to be a better human being. You stop fearing what people think of you and start fearing causing harm or acting unjustly.
So the principle-driven action we talked about earlier, it's like it acts as a filter or maybe a catalyst, letting the best of our mind and emotions come together to guide what we want.
That's a great analogy. It's a progressive purification. That's what character building is. You start to naturally, like what helps you grow, what elevates you, and naturally feel aversion to what pulls you down, makes you act like, less than human. You desire only what's worthy of you.
Okay, that clarifies the first part. But then the verse says, and nothing of this world will be unknown to you. How does purifying desire lead to knowing everything? That feels like a bit of a leap.
It seems like it, but think about it. When we look at the world or other people with selfish desires, wanting something from them, wanting to use them or control them, what happens?
They resist. Or maybe we only see what we want to see.
Exactly. Things, people, situations. They kind of protect themselves. They close up. They don't reveal their true nature, their heart. But when you look disinterestedly, without an agenda, without wanting to impose your ego,
Things open up.
they open up. They show you their essence. Think about personal relationships. Who do you really open up to? Someone you trust. Someone selfless, right? Not someone you feel is trying to manipulate you or get something out of you.
Right. Okay. So the less we project our selfish desires onto the world, the clearer our vision becomes, the more we understand its true nature.
It's an inverse relationship. Less egoistic desire, more knowledge, more clarity. Plato talked about the wise seeing things in the sunlight, of the idea of good. Tolstoy had that quote about how some people look at a forest and only see
Firewood.
right. They miss the forest for the trees, or rather for the potential profit, because their desire blinds them to the deeper reality.
Okay, that connection makes more sense now. Let's move to verse 55. You will see that men bring their own misfortunes voluntarily and by their free choice. This sounds very much like karma.
It's pure karma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Action and reaction. We plant the seeds, often unconsciously, of our own suffering, but then when the harvest comes,
We blame the weather, the soil, the neighbor, anyone but ourselves.
precisely. You overspend, then blame the economy for being broke. You eat the whole cake, then complain about the calories. It's classic human behavior. Remember Epictetus?
Remind me.
The extinction of guilt marks the beginning of moral progress. Stop blaming. Start taking responsibility.
And yet, the very next verse, 56, says, how unhappy they are. They do not see or understand that their good is on their side. Why are we so blind to this? If our good is right here, why don't we see it?
It comes down to perspective, doesn't it? Our angle of vision shapes our reality. Think of that example of the student deeply depressed, seeing her life as hell.
Right.
But a tiny chemical adjustment, an antidepressant, shifts her perspective. And suddenly the same external reality seems fine, even good. Nothing outside changed, just her internal viewpoint. Or that story about Indra.
The god trapped in a pig's body, I think.
Yes, or just trapped in a state of suffering. And Brahma frees him just by planting the thought, the suggestion, I am free. And poof, he was. Our consciousness chooses where it sits, what it focuses on.
It reminds me of that Zen story. Hike goes to Bodhidharma complaining about his suffering, asking to be freed from samsara.
Yes, and Bodhidharma just asks.
Who put you in samsara?
And Hike has that light bulb moment. Oh, it was me.
We vitalize what we focus on.
Exactly. And suffering itself, verse 57 points this out, isn't just punishment. It's a sign. Viktor Frankl saw this so clearly in the concentration camps. The way out of suffering or through it isn't avoiding it, but finding meaning in it.
If you see it as a lesson, something to grow from.
It becomes redemptive. The pain becomes the price paid for growth. And often, looking back, you wouldn't trade the lesson learned, so the price seems acceptable.
So this burden of fate that blinds humanity, which verse 58 mentions, is really ignorance.
That's the essence of it. Ignorance leads to non-redemptive suffering. The kind where you just go round and round in circles, like verse 59 says. You don't learn, you don't grow, you just repeat the same patterns, like a student failing the same grade year after year.
Stuck in a loop.
And what's the main mechanism we use to stay stuck? To avoid the pain of recognizing our part in it.
Blaming others.
Bingo. The two greatest inventions of humanity. The wheel. And blame the other guy for everything.
It sounds funny, but it's painfully true.
It is. Because if it's always someone else's fault, then they need to change, not you. You're off the hook. But you're also stuck. You become a perpetual victim. Machado de Assis nailed this in Posthumous Memories of Brás Cubas. Nature, looking at humanity just going in circles, basically asking, why don't you learn?
That image of circling without learning connects directly to verse 60. Because they are accompanied by a dark companion, the fatal disunity between them that throws them up and down without them noticing. This fatal disunity, that's the egoism, the heresy of separation again.
Yes, exactly. That feeling, that deep-seated belief that we are fundamentally separate. And if we're separate, then...
your loss might be my gain.
Right. It breeds competition, suspicion, violence, deceit, all the moral messiness. It's like a puzzle piece trying to force its way in by shaving bits off the other pieces. It just creates disharmony because it ignores the fact that all pieces are meant to fit together, part of one whole.
So verse 61 becomes crucial advice. Try discreetly never to stir up disharmony, but avoid it. But given how ingrained this sense of separation is, that sounds like a massive challenge.
It is. It's a constant effort. Take justice, for instance. True justice aims to educate, to restore harmony, not just punish out of vengeance. Hate clouds judgment. You can't be lucid and hate-filled at the same time.
So we have to look at ourselves. Where are we contributing to the disharmony? Where are we acting out of that sense of separation?
Yes. Where are we maybe renouncing our higher human potential? Nature, in a way, needs us to invent the human within ourselves, to choose harmony freely. It's paradoxically our path of least resistance, our true nature, even if it feels hard.
It's interesting that right here, Pythagoras pauses the advice and speaks directly to God, or the divine, in verses 62 and 63. He asks for help, for humanity's deliverance, by revealing the spirit within them. It feels like a significant moment.
It really is. A plea for divine help in this huge project of, well, building a new kind of human being. But then immediately after, in 64 and 65, comes the reassurance.
Right. But do not be afraid, because men belong to a divine race, and holy nature will reveal and show them all.
He's saying, look, it's tough, I get it, but don't lose hope. Trust the process. Trust yourselves. There is something divine in humanity.
That divine pearl within will emerge eventually. So we need to hold on to that faith in ourselves and in others to avoid becoming cynical or brutalized by the world's problems.
Absolutely. Losing faith in humanity's potential for good is incredibly corrosive. It undermines everything. Pythagoras is saying no matter how bad it looks sometimes, that divine spark is real, and it will eventually shine through. Trust nature's process.
And verse 66 seems to explain how this becomes easier. If she, sacred nature, communicates her secrets to you, you will easily put into practice all the things I recommend. What does that mean, nature communicating her secrets?
It means when you start to align yourself with that divine spark within, when you purify yourself enough to actually hear the deeper truths, to see reality more clearly, then living these principles isn't such a struggle anymore.
It becomes natural.
It becomes much more natural. It's about choosing, moment by moment, to identify with the highest, noblest part of yourself. The word intelligere in Latin captures this interlegere, to choose between, to choose what you truly are over what you are not. Find your center, that highest point, and act from there. It flows more easily then.
Which leads to verse 67. And healing your soul of ignorance, of the shadows you will free it from all these evils and sufferings. But this isn't just about saving yourself, is it? There's a sense of responsibility to others.
Definitely. It's never just about personal liberation in these traditions. Think of the Bodhisattva vow in Mahayana Buddhism, or that Zen phrase, go together beyond the beyond until the ultimate liberation.
It's a collective journey.
Yes. When one person achieves something virtuous, it lights the path for others. It shows what's possible. Like Arjuna winning his battle in the Bhagavad Gita, his story becomes an inspiration, proof that the struggle can be won. Plato suggested having a pet hero.
Someone whose example lifts you up.
Exactly, because ultimately we are one body. One person's growth affects the whole. Your liberation helps liberate others, even just by example.
That's a powerful thought. Okay, moving towards the end, verse 68. But avoid foods that are not recommended for the purification and liberation of the soul. Now, food here surely means more than just, well, food.
Oh, much more. We feed ourselves on multiple levels, right?
Yeah.
Physical, yes, but also mental, emotional, even energetic. This verse is about becoming a kind of mental gourmet.
Okay, I like that. A mental gourmet.
Be selective about the ideas you consume. Are you feeding yourself prejudices, violent thoughts, useless gossip, or ideas that nourish your soul? Same on the emotional level. Do you soak up collective negativity and hatred, or do you cultivate positive states? Remember, intoxication on these subtle levels
Can be much more damaging and harder to clear than physical stuff.
far more damaging, and the effects last longer.
And verse 69 drives this home. Consider, well, all these things, reflect. That emphasis on active reflection seems key. We're often just mentally lazy, aren't we?
Mental laziness, probably the root of all laziness. We just want simple rules, apply the same formula everywhere. But life isn't like that. Every situation, every person, every moment is unique. It demands fresh eyes, real consideration.
We need that vital curiosity.
Yes, to learn from everything. I remember seeing grapevines being cultivated in Europe. They prune the lower branches rigorously. Why? To force the sap upward, purifying it, so the grapes at the top are the best quality.
Ah, interesting analogy.
And I thought, well, isn't that life? If I prune the lower desires of the lower thoughts and emotions in myself, won't that force my energy upward? Won't my life bear better fruit? That's the kind of active, reflective thinking Pythagoras encourages. Learn from everything.
So, verse 70 sums it up. Always trying to guide yourselves by divine understanding, which should guide everything. It's about constantly aiming for that highest point within yourself.
Constantly striving, not necessarily being perfect, but always aiming for your current best understanding of the divine, the noble, the true. Like that Hindu prayer, may you do your best today, but may you do even better tomorrow. Keep reaching for that higher reference point.
And if you do all this, we reach the finale, verses 71 and 72. Thus, when you leave your physical body and rise in the ether, you will be immortal and divine, you will have completeness, and you will never die.
Wow. That's the ultimate promise, immortality.
It is, and it's presented not as a fantasy, but as the logical consequence of this whole process. It's about purifying the mortal elements, the transient desires, fears, ignorances, through living by eternal principles, symbolically burning away the dross.
Like Isis and the prince in the fire?
Exactly like that myth, burning away the mortal to reveal the immortal. Sri Ram, the philosopher, used the image of building your boat of consciousness.
A boat. What's it made of? Not wood. It's made of the eternal elements you've cultivated within yourself. Deep courage, unwavering certainty in justice and love, the lived evidence of a meaningful divine universe. Things that time can't touch.
And if you have this boat,
then when the time comes to leave the physical body, your consciousness has somewhere to go, something solid to rest upon, something eternal to carry it. It doesn't just dissipate or fall into confusion. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross saw this with her patients.
Those nearing death.
Yes. She observed that those who hadn't built anything real in this sense, nothing spiritual or essential to hold on to, often lost consciousness, fell into coma or confusion as the end neared. It was as if their consciousness couldn't face the void because everything it had identified with was dissolving. But having that boat
means you have a vessel, something that endures beyond the physical.
Exactly. You have a place for your consciousness to step, something that cannot be taken away. That's the immortality Pythagoras speaks of.
What an incredible map these verses provide, from daily conduct to the ultimate nature of reality and our potential within it. If you had to summarize the absolute core takeaways from this whole final section, what would they be?
The recurrences? Well, definitely. Honor your commitments. Value those who help you grow. Cultivate true friendships. Master your passions. Don't just extinguish them. Persevere in virtue. Practice prudence thinking first, but also courage. Staying lucid in crisis. Be patient with pain, with human flaws. See challenges as lessons.
And reflect. Analyze.
Yes. Develop understanding. Care for your body and mind sensibly. Practice that nightly reflection, maybe journaling. Dedicate your actions mentally to something higher. Discipline, perseverance, constancy, they keep coming up. Understand that paradox of diversity and unity. Don't judge too harshly others or yourself, but understand.
And the goal.
The goal is profound, becoming immortal, not as wishful thinking, but as the result of this ethical conscious path. It's about purifying yourself. Like the Stoics say, it's like cutting the ropes holding a balloon down.
You don't need to push the balloon up.
No. You just cut the ties, the vices, the ignorance, the attachments, and it naturally rises. Moral purification lets your consciousness ascend to a higher level of understanding. You see things you couldn't see before.
Like the turtle and the fish analogy you used. The fish can't understand dry land until it evolves, until it reaches a new level of being.
Precisely. You can't explain certain realities to someone whose consciousness isn't ready. But each small victory over a fault, each bit of purification, raises your level. You literally see with new eyes.
It's an ongoing ascent.
It is.
Step by step.
This has been incredibly rich. These verses truly offer a guide given by someone who seems to have walked the path. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening, reflecting on that balloon analogy. What ties might you need to cut today, even small ones, to allow your own consciousness to rise a little higher? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.